Hey everybody, Orpheolus here. Welcome back to some more Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Last time, we begun our second journey through Ulrest. And this time, well, we are going ahead and getting on started. So yeah, first things first is just, well, progressing the story a little bit more. Our first new detail is revealed in Chapter 4. Well, this could have been done a lot earlier, but I just want to get it done now because Chapter 4, it's definitely interesting. So here's you. So this is unlocking the Garfont mercenaries. Alright, overtake the mercenaries? Sure, because I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Unleash the most terrible... the most terrible thing in existence. So now we get our merc missions. This gets into a new thing. So, as you can see, you can now disengage party members. So yeah, so when Poppy's on a merc mission, Tori cannot take part in battles. So you can actually disengage your party members, and they can go set on out.
And we're off.
So yeah, so everyone has their different things altogether. Like Dromark is Dromark's Dragoons. You can freely disengage your active blades. So your story blades, you can disengage them, and you can have a party. You don't need Dromark in your party anymore. Thank goodness, because Dromark's not really super amazing. Then again, Nia for endgame, if you know what you're doing, really isn't the best. Poppy, you can send out on missions. This goes true for Bridget and Pandoria too. So you can send them out on merc missions, and they'll get the job done. Alright then. Goodbye, Dromark. I hardly knew ye. So the next major thing of note, though, actually is another unused side quest. There's a lot of various different side quests. A lot of these I'm not really going to go too much into, only the interesting ones. One of the more interesting ones is that there's a side quest that was translated in English. Viltsbury Mercenaries. So yeah, this data could be obtained, and then the side quest actually involves you fighting some level 30-some enemies, possibly rival mercenaries like the Viltsbury Mercenaries, in which there are some unused enemies there. Clever Gevin, Lords Gagador, and Pioneer Baldug. Those were in the data. And other interesting stuff, though, is that there's another mercenary mission that roughly translates to mercenary rules, in which there's a level 49 Jagron you have to fight, potentially a different alternative. Just something interesting to note, though. I'm just waiting for Bromark to get on back. So yeah, just some interesting things. There we go. So yeah, so there's various other side quests here. I'm not going to be going into them because a lot of these are just having to do some very rough translations. So that is kind of a drawback. I'm not going to be going over them all, just the interesting ones. Alright then, so upon doing this, Uriah's... well, I guess with that we would have to actually progress the mission a bit further. Good work. So now with this, all your merc missions are now available as long as you progress the story. Like, for example, you can't really transmit stuff to Tantal when they're underneath the mountain. So that was Vandham's last wish. Again. Alright then, so now we gotta do the filler arc, in which there is nothing to talk about. Time to skip this like it was intended for the game. Hooray! Alright then, so the next area of note is going to be here at Jackaloo's Inn. We've already arrived at Moradane. Alright then, so from here you can get yourself ultimate weaponry. The only way you can get ultimate weaponry in general is by completing rare blades, but there's only a finite amount of rare blades. Personally though, not really worth it. 400,000 is really expensive. So, let's go ahead and stay at the end because there's a really interesting thing I want to talk about for the next cutscene. So the interesting thing about this cutscene, though, is that, well, the modelers, they do their good job just making sure everyone's covered. The issue, though, is with Nia. If you were to pretty much show Nia's model here, besides all the blurring out, there is a lot of detail. Enough detail where if I were to show you, would get me banned on YouTube and Twitch and raise this game's rating up by a lot to give you the most. But it does show the core crystal though. So that is the interesting thing though. But yeah, not very PG. Oh hey look, another very stable cliffside. No way will a boulder ever fall back down here again. No, not in this timeline. I can guarantee that. Come on Zeke, let's go at it again. There we go. Barely made it into the boss room. That took way too long for my liking. So yeah, that was Factory Skip. I ended up having to ditch Nia because she was getting in the way for the initial setup. As you probably could have already seen. And probably not necessary. So yeah, it's a very difficult skip. It took me quite a while to get that all worked up. Like, I'm up to an hour in recording. Half of it was just trying to do Factory Skip. It's a difficult skip. And it's probably the one reason why I don't really like running this game, is because Factory Skip is just a pain in the butt. It's honestly a lot faster to go through the slow portion than it is to deal with that difficult skip. I mean, it's a time save, but it's a risky save. I'll give it that. Alright then, now it's for the boss I shamefully died on. The only story boss I died on, too. If memory serves me, I almost died to Morag, but... yeah, that was Major Roof. Yeah, the Mikhail and Petroka fights are pretty challenging. So yeah, not surprised I died to them. Alright. Mick, get dunked on. Alright then, one thing I do want to note though about Petroka is that she uses the same weapons as... never mind. I thought she was using a spear last battle. Weird. I swear I saw a spear. So yeah, so they're using their driver blades, and we can pull both Cressidius and Perdido. We're probably gonna do that later this episode. Alright, yeah, sure. Leonine Shaker.
This is it! Petroka! I love you!
Alright then. So starting up here in Chapter 5. Once QT joins your team, you'll be able to automatically get Cutie Pie. You won't have to go through Cutie Pie's Blade Quest. The only thing that is required, though, is just unlocking QT. It's weird, but QT is like the guard to Cutie Pie. So yeah, so Tora is useless until Chapter 5. Now, he's the carry. So see you guys in the next area. You know, that Titan has some really bad neck hair. Or I guess, yeah, neck hair.
And arrived.
Definitely a weird beard. Alright then, so here in Fawncett, couple things I want to note. First things first is that even though we don't have the side quest active, the marker down here for the side quest that involves the trio, Godfrey, Percival, and that, because of that being active, you cannot actually draw from this draw point even if the quest is not active, even before the side quest is available. It sucks, but meh. The next major thing I want to note, though, is that no matter how often you go around town, no matter how much searching you do, you cannot, at any point whatsoever, find a traveling bard. There's no traveling bards here in Letheria or in Indol. There's none at either location. What am I doing? I have no idea. I like wandering, okay? So, see you guys at, I guess Indol. Since there's not really much here in Letheria. There is some side quests here, but nothing really of interest. The interesting stuff comes later. Well, comes in Indol, actually. I guess while I am thinking about it, kind of this a little story I kind of glossed over a long time ago, but didn't really have too much time. Was that around the time that challenge mode was being teased, data miners went through the game and actually extrapolated all of the challenge mode enemies before the actual release was released. So I knew about all these enemies before challenge mode was released. One of the things I thought that challenge mode was that I thought challenge mode was going to be Bringer of Chaos. There's going to be different changes I thought was going to be around the world. One of the changes though is that Skyfist Remington is level 100 in challenge mode. We'll get to challenge mode later. I thought Skyfist Remington would be guarding the way here, like he'd be like right here if you try to attempt. He would just kick you off the edge and send you back. I thought because of that, you had to go through the other pathway sneaking on through if you wanted to progress the story because Remington was in the way. That's what I seriously thought, and I thought it was actually kind of cool, just different difficulty involving you having to rethink your strategies in actually getting from point A to point B. It's like Master Mode in Ocarina of Time, how it changes up the dungeons completely, and you have to rethink the progress through it. Or I guess also randomizer too for other games. Instead, Bringer of Chaos is another by the numbers thing. Except there's a little bit more to Bringer of Chaos. Rage Strikes. Just being annoying. So, let's go bring in Zeke once again. Alright then. So here in Indol, there's a couple things I want to note though. The most important thing though, is right back here with trading. So yeah, so he will not accept you if you're not a high enough level. In terms of salvaging rank. This is actually important. In that, going through the files, there is an unreleased side quest that was never made it into the final game, called Salvage Your Ranking. Or at least close enough. That's what's pretty much translated from Japanese from Google Translate, but pretty much this was meant to be its own side quest thing, instead of just one of those unmarked side quests that you find in Argentum. This was supposed to be its own individual side quest that you could have built on up. It's actually just something kind of interesting, just being relegated to secondary stuff. And yeah, that's really it there. There's actually quite a few additional side quests here in Indol. There's two other ones that were in the data but never released. One of them was called Volunteer Activity, the other one was Depressing Enough translated Great Grandfather's End. I don't really know about the translation, but that last one sounds super depressing. So yeah, another thing to note though, which I probably mentioned in the main game, is that these items are available elsewhere and you cannot buy out these shops. Heading up here to the top level, this shop does relocate later on in the game. However though, even though he does relocate, he does not contain his additional items. So if you want your Army Milk, you actually have to wait till Chapter 9 when he relocates. Another thing that was of interest that was in an earlier build was that somewhere around here, I don't remember where, but supposedly in a very early setup, there was a Gormati girl here that actually was never translated. Oh, I guess you can't redonate, can you? Change things tonight. Nope, you can't actually redonate. Meh. I want to eat some money off the cliff. So yeah, so somewhere here there was a Gormat girl that... Gormat girl that was never translated. I think... Yeah, it was you. So yeah. Originally not translated, but fixed in a patch. You can't get everything. At least I'm not 100% sure on that. Another thing I kind of wanted to mention though is that also when I was first playing through the game, I seriously thought Indol was going to be one of the final levels. Like, this is going to be a major confrontation. Just how Indol is kind of all set up. Like, you arrive down there at the bottom. You make up there to that first platform, boss battle. You make your way through, having to weave your way through these enemies. Make it up here for a giant boss battle you would have to take on. But yeah, my first playthrough, I was not buying a Malthus. For some reason, I always knew he was going to be the main antagonist. And, lo and behold. Malos, I don't really consider him the main antagonist, just unfortunate. The fact that his malevolence was spawned in by Amalthus's just general stuff. Now to your great Cloister. I thought this was going to be another like major boss battle that'll be out here. Kind of like the dragon at the end of Prison Island Xenoblade 1, and then up there, Amalthus, major battle. Potential final boss, I don't know. Then again, that was my first playthrough. So enough of that reminiscing. I guess I'll see you guys. The next real area is going to be pulling blades. So see you guys once Zeke joins the fray. Alright then. So Zeke has joined back the party. And with this, we can now pull blades at long last. While I was holding off on opening the 5 DLC, the 6 blades, from here, we can now open them all up. The ratio for these 6 blades is primarily going to be attack focus. I think there's 2 tank blades. It's primarily going to be attack and tank. Healers, there's only 1 healer if memory serves. So yeah, that's not so great on Nia. So I need to go ahead and make sure everything renders out, and I'll see you guys here when we start opening blades. I got 99 legendaries.
Call my name and I appear, Abrona. The stage is set. Follow me to victory. This is awesome. So, who's my new driver then?
Alright, and we got Abrona. I hate Abrona. Abrona is not really too great. I mean, her battle skills increases auto attack speed, which is alright. It reduces cooldown time for blade switch, but all around Abrona is not that great.
I'm Petroka, so what? Oh, so very dull. I'll do it, but I don't like it.
Nice, we got Petroka. Petroka is arguably one of the best rare blades in the game. She's actually really good. Her main bonus though is inside her battles tree. Increases damage for each enemy incapacitated by 60%. Increases damage dealt by 30% when HP is less than 30%. Not really too great. The main one though, which we have to work on, is that she does increased damage to elemental weaknesses. Very good for long boss fights, such as Artifice Ophion. Really good there.
It's Sever's turn to wreak untold havoc! If I see anyone bawling, they'll get slapped, got it?
Alright, and we got Sever. A tank blade, when I don't remember Sever being super amazing. Me adds 60% chance to a null defense, relatively nice, and increases damage dealt by a surprise attack by 200%. He's alright.
My name is Perdido. You'd best remember it.
And we got Perdido. Right after, too. Perdido is pretty alright. Increases damage dealt from the front by 10%. He's alright. I don't remember using him too much. Petroka is the main good one, though. So, just a couple left.
In the red corner, heavyweight blade champion at 800 pounds. It's Kraken. I am the champion, my friend.
And we got Cressidus. He's such a goofball. I love him. I love Cressidus. So Cressidus requires a lot of stuff, but increases damage to toppled enemies by 50%, extending topple duration. Pretty nice for topple locking. All around, he's alright. A tank Knuckle Claw. That's kind of interesting. And then Null on Wisdom and other stuff. He's fun. So we only have one left. Come on, Akos.
The legendary Akos. Forever at your service. I have just the role for you.
Contrary to his introductory segment, he wields a scythe and not a bow. I'm very disappointed. So Akos is a healer blade, but he's interesting in that he's more of a DPS blade than anything. So his weapon is called the Doom Quills. What's interesting though is because right when, relatively alright, the main thing though is transmigration. 30% chance to flip enemy defense, granting more damage versus higher values. If the opponent has like 60% physical reduction, transmigration has a chance to pretty much make that a negative 60%, making that boss essentially get capped really quickly. Not only that, but it's a scythe blade, meaning Nia's not going to be doing too well. It's more of an axe blade, and Nia and Rex with axes aren't so great. Really good on Zeke though. However, though, he already has Petroka. And in New Game Plus, Petroka is a monster. Dead Zone restores 40% HP each time an enemy is defeated. Alright. And then Endless Cycle. Boosts recharge for specials after canceling by 20%. Can be pretty nice. Alright then. So, that is all the rare blades. If we go to our blade album, we don't have too many. So, the only exception though is Mikhail. As you can tell, you get all of Torn except for Jin Malos. Mikhail is a special case. You cannot pull him from a rare blade. He will be available later on, probably in the next episode. So yeah, so we only have a few blades left. And these last 3 are available only in challenge mode. So yeah. So I guess going into managing blades, just going on a bit further with these DLC blades. Where is Akos? Here we go. I just want to have a special border over them. And then also managed to pull an Orb Mastery on a common, which could be pretty nice. So yeah. So one thing to note though is that you cannot customize these characters' weapons. That is the downside. No matter what you do, even including these more common blades, you cannot change things up, which does kind of suck. So just going over their general facilities, we've pretty much went over Akos. They require the generic crap load, so you're wanting to farm a lot more of them. You know the stuff. Love sources, very important there. All right. So going over the other blades. So Petroka, her other one is Fatal Blow. Increases exploit damage. So yeah. So really useful. And then, yeah, as you can see, Petroka can become very devastating. Next up, Abrona. I don't remember Abrona being too great. Reduces aggro drawn from auto attacks. Yeah, Abrona's not so great. The main plus side is reduces the cooldown for a blade switch, but even then, Alright, next up is Perdido. Perdido can be interesting. Double striking guarantees auto attacks to hit twice. Could be alright, especially for building up specials. Stay true. Increases auto attack damage, so you're pretty much more of an auto attack tank. Again, not too amazing. Diamond Hands could be interesting, but all around Perdido's meh. Next up, Cressidus. Oh. Okay. Yeah, Cressidus is fills up his affinity chart relatively easily. All you need to do is have some meat. That's literally it. Have meat in your ability, and there you go. So Cressidus is alright. Increases damage to toppled enemies, really nice. Increases level 4 special damage, which could be alright. And then deals damage to all enemies when swapped via blade switch. Can be alright. All around, Cressidus is alright. He's not my favorite, but could be interesting. Next up is Sever. Once again, your generic 9.8. So yeah, so armor piercing adds 100% chance to annul defense. This could be rather interesting though. Just ignoring defense could be useful for bulkier foes. Nullify defense adds 100% chance of dealing a guard annulling attack. And then Heartless Kill. So really good for foes, especially more along the lines of drivers. Very useful for driver killing. All around though, not my cup of tea. So that is it. We only have one blade left, and that's not till much later on. I was actually worried because I was down to like my last 10 core crystals. Meh. So I guess while I'm thinking about it, so we got them all, so let's head to Temperantia, because there's a couple things I want to note in Temperantia. First things first, while I'm thinking about it, is Zeke's hidden affinity chart. Unleash Shining Justice. Work up for this. What else is super cheap? Natural healing, sure. I highly suggest working up for this. It is super strong. Increases dexterity, sure. Alright, do we have anything else that's cheap? You're very cheap.
The Eye of Shining Justice is throbbing.
Yeah, the Eye of Shining Justice is indeed throbbing.
Oh yeah.
Alright then. So now we just need to work up the remaining SP. My recommendation for grinding SP is find a super boss, Tyranno Titan. They're available much later on in Chapter 6 is when you'll be able to farm super bosses. Overkill them, gain lots of SP. Zeke's 30,000 is insane. It's arguably one of the single best abilities in the game. It rocks, Pandoria from being like C tier up to S tier. It's that darn good. I'll show it off in a later episode though. Just know that Shining Justice is indeed Shining Justice. Alright then, so our next destination is going to be up here on the hill. So here at Overlook Hill, what I want to mention though is that you could attempt to go down to the lower level. In fact, I think it's... Okay, it is right over here. So like right in this general area. Yep, you can try to go down to here. But there is a death plane initiated. It's stupid. And in fact, one of the things for speedruns back before Zombie Walk was patched out was to literally set your damage to none. Well, Zombie Walk your way down into the death plane, get below that, and then freely explore Temperantia. That's been since patched out and is stupid. Alright, the next thing I want to note though is Aishma's Core. The reason why I want to mention Aishma's Core is that Aishma typically has a band of regeneration. No matter what you do, you cannot defeat it under normal circumstances. That is just main game though. This is DLC. Well, I guess New Game Plus. So as you can see, I'm just working towards probably not good. I don't want to accidentally kill the core early. So yeah. Alright, go for Supernova. I think one orb should be enough. Alright. Enrage. So you could attempt to kill Aishma's Core. There we go. We've actually defeated Aishma's Core. If you're able to somehow outdamage the regeneration, it's nuts. Oh, a second wave, I forgot. A zombie, sure. Oh wow. I didn't notice how high the bonus got. And Cutie Pie's out. Look at that high bonus. Get capped on. So yeah, you could kill Aishma's Core. It does absolutely nothing. It doesn't end the battle. It doesn't skip out anything. It literally does nothing. Ain't that worth all your time? At least you can kill the core. Yep, you see, Aishma's Core is right back at it. Well, it doesn't have its long band of regeneration though. That's pretty much it. Kinda sucks. It would've been cool if you actually skipped this phase because you wrecked Aishma's Core earlier. Oh well. That's that. And that's gonna be it for me for now. So yeah, we did quite a bit of this episode. We are still continuing on our escapade through New Game Plus. A lot of stuff will come up really soon that I want to talk about though. Also, rest in peace, Hayes. It's very depressing, just didn't really talk about Hayes' death, but one quote, I think we are this far in Torn of the Golden Country, Hayes mentions that, I did not want to be the blade of a man like Amalthus. That's just something I just kind of wanted to talk about. Probably shouldn't have skipped the cutscene, but I'll live with it. Just, Jin knew all along. Just Hayes never wanted to be the blade of Amalthus, but because of memories, really can't do anything. Hayes has no recollection of her past time back in Torna, so it's very depressing when you think about it. So, with that, we have completed another 3 chapters, and next time in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, well, we got more New Game Plus. Probably going to go for another few chapters before making our way to the end game, because once we get to the end game, things are going to be interesting. Namely, want to get through the more or less the rest of the miscellaneous stuff for New Game Plus, and then the next episode, we got Heart to Heart. So I'll see you guys in the next episode.